Season, everybody's pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator named Rocky. He finishes his speech and he goes, "Hit it, Rock!" And Set It Off by Boosie Badass played. As a young white man, it was my first time hearing that song, Set It Off. Yeah, we finna set it off. You heard me? I'm finna put you in the trash bag. Tired of all these knowing me right now, for real. You wanna talk shit? You wanna run your mouth? You want some gangster strut your mother in the house? We'll set this job. Yeah. And that was my first time hearing Set It Off. At Samford University, it was the third or fourth week of camp. We were about where teams are right now. Right before the season, everybody's pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator. And here we go. Got Thursday night football tonight now. Welcome back, nothing but Irish. My new friend in the chat, baby. It's going to be a quick show today. It's going to probably be about 24, 25-minute show. I just got back from the pickleball courts. We had a little clinic today. My professor, my uncle, Mr. Timbo Welch, had a pickleball specialist over to the Pickle Dojo, our pickleball court that we just opened up next door to our martial arts academy, Red Hawk Academy. And we spent the afternoon hitting the ball around. I did the show production early. I did my normal work that pays the bills right now early and skirted on over to the pickleball court next to the gym. And I'm going right back to the gym after this podcast to do some jiu-jitsu drilling because I can't go live yet. My neck got a bit fucked up on Monday, guys. And you guys probably heard me on the Tuesday podcast talking about that. Got a bit fucked up, and it's okay. We're pretty much all the way back. Just want to take care of it. You know, I don't want to get my collar pulled on in a live round tonight. I just don't. And then we're hitting the road to go to New Orleans in the morning. Why New Orleans? Well, got a great friend getting married there this weekend, and I've got some family that I'm staying with. So it should be exciting. Gonna make sure to catch that Bengals-Bills game on Sunday. You know, you got conference championships this weekend. Listen, man, here's what I'm in the jar about. And Gruden made a video about this. Why are the best teams in college football having to play this weekend? And you got teams like Notre Dame, they're fresh. Miami's going to be fresh. Ole Miss is going to be fresh. All of these teams that aren't as good as Georgia this year, aren't as good as really, if you're looking at teams that made the conference championship, why would you play an in-conference schedule? Because let's say you run a table, you win all of them. You have to play the weekend of the conference championship. You got to play an extra game for being the better team. Texas A&M, they're going to be fresh as daisies for that first round. Who else am I missing? You got Virginia and Duke playing for the ACC championship. You got Texas Tech and BYU playing for the Big 12 championship. You got you got Alabama and Georgia playing for the SEC championship. And you got Indiana and Ohio State playing for the Big Ten championship. Here's the deal, too. Some of these conferences seem like they got 20 teams. You look at the NFL, every single year, you are playing each of your division opponents 2 times a season. You know for a fact who is the best team in that division in the NFL at the end of each year. We do not know who the best teams in the Big Ten are. We have an idea. And Indiana and Ohio State very well might be the best teams. And they're getting penalized because they have to play this weekend. So what Gruden proposed, and I think this is a fantastic idea, said, why don't we have these other teams that are in contention to make the playoff play games? You pick some host cities. You pick Vegas, maybe New Orleans. I'm trying to think of the other places, places like that. And you have, let's say you have, like, a lot of people are saying James Madison deserves to get in. They were great in the FCS for a long time. They move up. Forget what conference they're in. But have them play somebody. I mentioned this, have Ole Miss play somebody. It's not fair to the best teams to have to go and play in their conference championship, play an extra game, while the teams who aren't as good get to rest. It doesn't make sense. And you can maximize a bunch of revenue. You could create a bunch of extra revenue selling these games. Have one of them in Atlanta. Have one of them in Minnesota. They got nice domes. They got nice stadiums there. Now, they'd have to work with the NFL to make sure that, like, the Vikings don't have a home game that weekend, or the Falcons didn't have a home game this weekend. But it makes no sense. There's tons and tons and tons of flaws in the way college football is structured right now. I have faith because it's so important. College football is more important, especially to Southerners, Midwestern people, than folks out here in, like, say, Phoenix will ever know. West Coast people, I just don't think they understand the magnitude of college football, at least in the eyes of people in the South, people in the Midwest. But there's people that care about this shit. There's people with money that care about this shit. Make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Make it happen. Make these other teams play, and you got a scenario where you got your conference championship. So you got Bama, Georgia. You got I'm listing it off for a second time. You got Indiana, Ohio State. So there's 4 teams. You got Texas Tech, BYU. That's 6 teams. You got Virginia and Duke. That's 8 teams. And now Duke doesn't seem like a serious contender to get in. So it seems with the ACC, Miami, they don't have to play a game. They're at 12 right now. So, or I think, yeah, Miami's at 12 right now in the CFP rankings. So are they safe? Like, let's just look at the rankings right now. I got them pulled up right here. A DQ ad. Not today. So you got Oklahoma, you got A&M, you got Ole Miss, you got Oregon, you got Notre Dame. Texas sitting there at 13. So this is what I'm saying. If we had the other teams eligible in the field in the college football playoff, play a game this week. Think about this. Like, let's take the top teams in the AFC right now, if we're going to liken it to pro football, which we should, if we're going to be as real as we can be, let's liken it to pro football for a second. You got the New England Patriots. You got the Denver Broncos, let's say, atop the AFC right now. What if you made them play in the wild card round and you let, who are the other teams in the picture? I'm trying to think. Let's look. So you got Denver and New England at the top. Would it make any sense for Denver and New England to have to play in the wild card round, and then you gave Jacksonville, Baltimore, LA, and Indy a bye? Would that make sense? Or Buffalo, you give those teams a bye for being worse? You give them more rest for being worse? Absolutely not. So it makes no sense. I just ate, so I'm burping. It makes no sense. So you got teams like Texas, like Vanderbilt, who won't be able to do anything. It's good for these teams, too. You got teams like Texas, teams like Vanderbilt, teams like USC. Teams like Virginia will have a chance to showcase what they've got because they are playing in their conference championship. But Vanderbilt's not going to make it. Texas is probably not going to make it. You got Alabama and Georgia playing each other. Georgia's definitely in. I think it would be a shocker for Bama not to get in, even if they lose to Georgia in the SEC championship, like I think they will. Okay, you got Texas Tech, BYU. Both of those teams. Look, man, I would not be that shocked if Texas Tech beat BYU again and BYU got bumped out. Now, I could also see a scenario where BYU loses or Texas Tech loses and both teams get in. That's a big possibility. Indiana, Ohio State, no matter what happens, both teams in. Great seasons. But you got teams like Texas, teams like Vanderbilt, teams like Utah kind of sitting on the outside looking in, and I guarantee you, if you let these teams play in I don't even know what you would call it. There's something there, though, for college football. There's something there from a marketing perspective. You could call it play-in weekend. You got the conference championships, and then you got the play-in games. And make Oklahoma and Texas play each other. And whoever loses is out. Make Notre Dame and Miami play. Put that in Vegas. Put that in Allegiant Stadium. Whoever loses is out. Tell Vandy to go play Texas A&M or Ole Miss. Can you imagine what kind of ticket revenue you'd be able to churn off of these 4 or 5 playing games? Because Ole Miss is a big question now. Ole Miss just lost their head coach. Are they the same Rebels that we know they are? You'd have to give them a chance to prove that. And in these playing games, if you lose, you're out. If you win, you're in. It's very simple. I think it's a brilliant concept. John Gruden brought this about. If you go to his Twitter page, the last video he posted, I basically just regurgitated on here. But it's a great idea. I don't understand why the best teams in each conference have to play and prove themselves when they've already shown that they've been the best this year. And these other teams, Ole Miss isn't going to have to do a thing. They're in. Texas A&M not going to have to do a thing. They're in. Oklahoma not going to have to do a thing. They're in. Notre Dame probably get in, even though I think if they play a playing game, they have a chance of getting beat. And Texas and Vanderbilt, both teams. Texas beat some good teams this year. They beat Oklahoma. They beat A&M. They beat. They had one more big win that I'm blanking on right now. But Texas and Vanderbilt are on the outside looking in. They're probably not going to make it, unless yeah. I don't see a world where Vandy makes it. I don't see a world where Texas makes it. I think those are both teams that can make noise in this playoff. Let's get to the title of the show. We're already 15 minutes in. Title of the show, thumbnail. We talked about Penn State. Yeah, effed up. Okay, what's their AD's name? Kraft or something. Penn State likely to get offered another coach for night son. What does that mean? This is becoming a disaster for Penn State. Quietly. Everybody's been so focused on Lane and Ole Miss, leaving Ole Miss, going to LSU. Kentucky hires a new head coach, Will Stein. UAB has hired a new head coach. South Florida's hired a new head coach. Florida's hired their coach. All these major jobs that were open have now been filled, and Penn State, who was the first program to fire their head coach this year, still doesn't have their guy. The stock of this program has plummeted in 2 months' time. They were number 2 in America 8 weeks ago, 9 weeks ago. And now, not a single head coaching candidate will touch this job with a 10-foot pole. This is a masterclass by the athletic director over at Penn State on how to not handle the head coach of your biggest athletic program, the football team. This is a disaster. It's beyond embarrassing. Top 3 job turned into a joke. Top 3 job. This was a while back. In 2 months, it's a joke. Nobody wants it. Let's see our hot takes on here. How do you go from top job to nobody wants it this fast? Terrible athletic director. Indecisive athletic director. Well, he wasn't indecisive in firing James Franklin. Wasn't a bit indecisive. He was maybe too quick to do that. But what matters is the guy that you have at the helm, and what he hasn't been decisive on is finding their guy. And for no reason at all, other than maybe an athletic director that's too quick to push the red button. For no reason at all. This Penn State job, the stock of it, has absolutely cratered. Let's see. They were trying to get, looks like BYU's head coach, Kahani Sataki. Kahani Sataki. I wonder what nationality Kahani Sataki is. I haven't seen a picture of the guy. I'd like to know if he's Middle Eastern or maybe Samoan. Maybe that's a Pacific Island name. You got a lot of Pacific Islanders out here on the West, especially involved in college football. Kahani Sataki staying at BYU, rejecting the Penn State offer. And look, maybe that's a bit coincidental. Maybe Kahani Sataki has a good bit of loyalty to the BYU program. I tell this story all the time. We had a strength coach in college at Samford that quickly became one of the hottest strength coach candidates in America. He was getting job offers from Oregon. He was getting job offers from places like Ole Miss, if I recall correctly. And he said no to those jobs because he felt like he had a job to do at the program he was at. Maybe it's a little bit of that for Kahani Satake at BYU. Maybe it's a little bit of this Penn State job has become a joke for absolutely no reason. And there's no logic to it. Penn State is still Penn State. Do I think that Penn State is really ever a serious football program to go and win a national title? Not really. The Big Ten's all fucked, by the way. It's too big. It's too many teams in the Big Ten. You got to take some of the bottom tier Big Ten teams like Northwestern, like Maryland. You got to say, hey, guys, listen, we don't, you guys are great, but you got to go over to the B team court over there. You got to join, you got to maybe create a new era Big East. You know, you guys can't stay here because you got, listen, I don't want to discredit Indiana at all, but to my knowledge, they didn't play Ohio State. I don't think Ohio State played USC. The traveling's all fucked up in the Big Ten. Schools like USC at a huge disadvantage. It's probably great revenue for USC to be in a conference like that, but it's probably just brutal on their team, and especially their equipment staff who have to actually hit the road. They can't fly with all that gear. So you got the equipment staff driving probably 38 hours to Maryland to play the Terrapins. I don't know if that happened this year, but it's just a thought, an example, something to visualize. And then maybe you turn around and you got to come back home for practice that week and then play Northwestern or something. And the equipment staff's got to do it all again. It's madness. College football, when you really think about it, is actually insane. It's the best. It's actually insane. Penn State might actually become a meme before they get a coach. How do you go from top job to nobody wants it this fast? We already asked that question. AD. AD's fucking up. Penn State, you're fucking up, bud. You're tarnishing what otherwise could be a great program. Now, Penn State's produced Saquon Barkley. A lot of history in that program. I've never been, I don't even remember the town that it's in. Happy Valley, I don't remember. Somewhere in Pennsylvania. You got a historic program there. The house that Paterno built. You know, and I don't know. Can they ever recover from this? Will Penn State, will the trajectory of the program, they haven't recruited anybody because they don't have a head coach to recruit anybody. They don't have a face of the program for recruits to buy into. I think they're like ranked 100 out of 130 with their recruiting class right now. They don't have a face of the program. They don't have anybody. They're hosed, and you just have National Signing Day, and you don't have a head coach in place? Magnificent fumble by the AD over there, Kraft. Can't remember his first name. We talked about this yesterday. Bama, Notre Dame flip spots. I mean, Alabama belongs above Notre Dame all the way. Nothing but Irish. Might still be in here. I can't see him disagreeing with that. I mean, come on. If you think Notre Dame's better than Alabama, come on. Let's be real here. You know. And then you got Miami and Notre Dame. Look, Miami beat Notre Dame head-to-head, but that was week 2. Notre Dame's quarterback's gotten a chance to see some reps, live a couple lifetimes this year. I'd like to see them play again, man. I don't know why we wouldn't do this. I don't know what college football would have to lose creating 4 or 5 play-in games with the non-conference championship participating teams, because they need to play too. It's only fair. Shouldn't be penalized. We got we got to incentivize players, coaches, programs to want to play their best ball. Can you imagine a world in a year, 2 years, 3 years where we haven't changed anything? And I mean, it's par for the course for college football. They're reminding me a lot like politicians, like Congress people at this point, the way they operate, getting nothing done, or the Cincinnati Bengals. But can you envision a world in 2 or 3 years where a program is, let's say they're 9-0 and they got 3 games left, and they know they can win all 3 of them, but if they do, they're going to have to play in their conference championship, and they really want to be fresh for the playoffs because that's what really matters is a national title, and they bench their starters the last 3 games so that they don't have to play in the conference championship, and they rest up their guys for the playoff. Can you imagine a world like that, guys? College football's got to do this. John Gruden presented a great solution to that we talked about at the beginning of the show. So let's break in the real story. Miami versus Notre Dame. I do have to jet here probably in 9 minutes, something like that. Miami beat Notre Dame head-to-head. Notre Dame still ranked ahead of Miami. Head-to-head result should matter, guys. And we look at this committee. We look at this college football playoff committee, guys. You got to get some Nick Sabans on this committee. You got to get some real ball knowers on this committee. I shouldn't see any women on this committee. I'm sorry. I really am sorry, but I'm not. You need to have played the game at a certain level. You need to have really played the game at a high level. Like even someone like me, okay? I was a scout team guy for an FCS program. Okay? I probably haven't seen enough, done enough to deserve a spot on the committee, for example. Saban has. Hell, put Belichick on there. You know, take some guys of that stature. Put Gruden on there, man. Gruden would kill it on the committee, man. Here's what I think about the playoff field, man. Spider do what? You know what I'm saying? Like, we got all these old whiteheads on the committee, man. And their ADs, look, they probably know some ball, but, like, how much ball do they really know? You know what I'm saying? Did they play past high school, these guys? I don't think most of them had. Who knows, though? Probably some sprinkle in, some ball knower sprinkle in there. But we got to have a 100% clip on this playoff committee of ball knowers. Why would we not? So it just seems like a bit of hypocrisy on the committee. And whatever the committee does, dude, until you implement some play-in games the same weekend as the conference championships, there's going to be problems with the final playoff field. There just is. There's going to be fans pissed. There's going to be people pissed. The committee will continue to get criticized. I don't know why you wouldn't do play-in games. It maximizes revenue for college football, for the conferences, for the teams participating. And it also eliminates any shadow of a doubt. If somebody tries to take a shot at the playoff committee's final rankings, they can just say, hey, look at this game that happened this past weekend. Your boys got beat when it mattered. You're staying at home. You're going to go to a bowl game. And that's the thing too. Nobody cares about bowl games anymore. Nobody gives a shit about bowl games anymore. Nobody really gives a shit about the conference championships anymore as much as they should. Because why would you? Bama and Georgia are going to get in. Ohio State and Indiana are going to get in. They should. Texas Tech, BYU, probably both going to get in. I wouldn't be shocked if BYU fell out of the field if they lost, though. Texas Tech, no matter what, they'll be in. Virginia, Duke, that's the most intriguing one. The ACC has become the most intriguing one because Duke doesn't really seem like a factor to get in for some reason, just based on what I'm hearing. When we look at the rankings, are they even sniffing it? No, Duke's not even in the top 25. So basically, that's the most intriguing one. And if Virginia loses, they're out. Because Virginia's sitting at 17 right now. If they win, they're probably in. But then who do you bump? Do you bump the U? Do you bump Miami out? If Virginia wins against Duke in the ACC title game, do they get in? Do they not get in? These are all questions that could be answered if you had a play-in game. I mean, they'd have to jump. They'd have to jump Miami, really. And if you put Miami in a play-in game against Notre Dame, Miami wins that, they probably deserve to get in. And if they lose, they probably deserve to be out. So, I don't know, man. I kind of feel like I'm pretty tired today, guys. If BYU win, okay, let's read this. If BYU wins the Big 12 championship, they jump Notre Dame, is what I'm reading here. BYU is Big 12 champ with one loss. This creates the actual, I'm reading my outline here, guys. This creates the actual playoff drama people should care about. If BYU wins, they're in. Of course, that's very easy to say. They're sitting at 11 right now. Conference championship wins matter when they matter, is what I'm reading here. BYU's case is stronger if they're a conference champ. Texas Tech also playing for Big 12. Of course. I mean, what is this? Texas Tech doesn't matter. If they will get in, even if they lose. So it would actually, if you're a Big 12 supremacist, you want BYU to win that Big 12 championship game because then you have more Big 12 teams represented in the playoff. BYU loses, are probably out. And they've already lost to Texas Tech. Interesting. I don't know, man. I'm reading this here. It says, let's talk about Bama and Georgia. And it says the loser of the SEC championship might be uncertain if they got in the playoff. I don't see that happening because the body of work that Georgia's put together, where are they at? They're at 3 right now or something? Yeah, they're at 3. If Georgia lost to Bama again, that would be a bad look. It would be their second loss to Bama just this season. Kirby Smart, Bama Demons. But you can't justify Georgia falling 10-plus spots for losing to Bama in the SEC championship, even if it's the second loss of the year, both to Bama. You can't justify that. And then if Bama gets beat, Georgia beats Bama, what are you going to say about Bama? They lost to Georgia. Georgia's good. They're number 3. They don't deserve to fall that far because of that. They don't deserve to fall out of the playoff. Now, it's an uncertain scenario for sure. You could argue it. 3+ spots, you fall. I don't buy it. Bama, they had a tough loss to Oklahoma, and they had that terrible loss to Florida State. So that might come. Those losses could come back to bite them. I won't lie to you. I'm an SEC. Look, this is an SEC biased program. I think the SEC is top to bottom the best conference in the land. I don't see any reason why Texas and Vanderbilt shouldn't get into the playoff, but they won't because the committee definitely fears looking biased when they really should fear not picking the right teams for the playoff. But again, our priorities are all bent out of shape because we got a dysfunctional ecosystem in college football right now. Let's call a spade a spade. So, it's just interesting. Georgia is safe no matter what. I think Bama's safe no matter what as well because a loss to Georgia, it's not a bad look. The other two losses are bad looks, though. So if you really wanted to argue about why Bama should fall out of the playoff if they lose to Georgia, a team they've already beat, you could look at their losses on the year. Oklahoma's good, though. Oklahoma's probably going to be in. They don't have to play they don't have to play a conference championship game. They don't have to play a playing game. They're chilling at home this weekend, and they probably won't move that much in the rankings. Not much to talk about in the Big Ten championship. It'll be cinema. It'll be a fun game, but both teams get in. There's not really any major implications there. Both teams have had great seasons. And then here's I've finally gotten to the point in the outline where the question we just asked, let's see if there's any points we missed. If Alabama loses SEC championship to Georgia, do they stay in? I mean, this outline's horrible today, guys. Alabama at 10 shows they're on the bubble. I think they're at 9, are they not? Conference champ loss might knock them out. We already talked about that. Depends on how close and what happens. Yeah, that's a good point, and that's something that we missed. If it's a close loss, if Bama hangs in against Georgia and they lose, they'll probably get in. That's probably the biggest factor here with the Bama-Georgia SEC championship game. If Bama hangs in and fights, they will make the playoff. If they get run out of the building, because I believe it's in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, if they get run out of the building, if they get blown out, they probably fall out of the college football playoff. This is interesting. I think that's a great way to cap that SEC championship discussion off. Really, that's my take. If it's close and Bama fights and hangs in against Georgia in this SEC championship, they make it in. If they get run out of this building, if they get run out of this Mercedes-Benz Stadium and they get their ass kicked and it's a 3, I mean, really, where do you draw that line? 2-possession loss? 3 possessions, definitely. If Bama gets beat by 3 possessions or more against Georgia, it's basically a home game in Atlanta for UGA. I hope I'm right about that. There's nowhere else it could be. I mean, maybe they could have it in New Orleans. Maybe they could have it in Nashville. They couldn't have it in Nashville. I don't really feel like going and confirming that. It's definitely in Atlanta. But, and I thought I had a clip there. I cut it off. But this is my take. Look, if Bama gets beat by 2 possessions or more against Georgia, you have a case for Bama falling out of the playoff field. If they keep it to a 1 possession, maybe a 10-point loss to Georgia, they stay in the field. That's my take. And if Georgia loses, they're still in. They're still in. Even I don't care if it's their second loss of the year. If they lose to Bama in the conference championship, both losses to Bama, I don't care. Georgia's one of the 12 best teams in America. And they make it. We're going to wrap this show up. I got to head out. But yeah, it looks like we're at the end of our outline. All college football talk today. We didn't even get to the NFL game tonight. Great Thursday night football game tonight, by the way. Lions, Cowboys, NFC matchup. Both teams that are vying right now. Detroit's great. We know Detroit's great. We didn't know that Dallas would be this good, but they've got one of the sneaky best receivers in the league, who just became one of them in George Pickens. I don't know where the game's at. I didn't do my research on it beforehand. I don't know what the spread is. My gut tells me to take Detroit. But we'll see. We'll see which version of this, Detroit Lions show up tonight. We'll see what version of the Dallas Cowboys show up tonight. Will the Dallas Cowboys be able to stop Detroit's offense? That's the real question. Will they be able to stop Jahmyr Gibbs? Will they be able to stop J-Mo? Will they? I don't know if Amon-Ra's back or not. I know he got hurt, left the game last week on Thanksgiving. We didn't even get to cover that game, so I'll just let you guys make your own deductions about what you think. If I had to bet, what's the spread here? Lions, Cowboys, spread, and it won't give it to me. You have to log in. This is the craziest thing. You have to log in to the sports books to get the actual spread, and I'm sure they set it up that way. Dallas are 6-5, Detroit 7-5. It's in Detroit. The Lions are 3-point favorites. Dallas money line $1.45. Wow, guys, 3.5, 3 points. MGM says 3.5 points. That is tantalizing. I would take the Lions on the spread. I don't know if this article tells me whether Amon-Ra is going to be back. Let's Google it. Let's look. St. Brown injury. He will play tonight. Okay. Give me the Lions -3. That's my take. This is not financial advice. If you take that bet, you're responsible for taking that bet. Give me the Lions -3. Amon-Ra, St. Brown back. I think the Cowboys defense might have a hard time with them, but they're definitely going to rip off some explosive plays on the offensive side of the ball. Dallas will. George Pickens. They don't have Jake Ferguson anymore. It's a wonder how they've continued to ball the way they have the last couple of weeks. Okay, I'm going to send you guys off. I got to head out. It's been fun. I wasn't sure how much we were going to have to talk about today. We had a lot to talk about, and it was a good show. If you're watching this for the first time, welcome. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're the fastest growing football channel in the land. Check out our channel. We got replays of every episode on the channel. We got Madden streams sometimes. We got live commentary on games sometimes. We got daily clips. And we got our podcast on every single audio platform you can think of. So if you want to listen to it in the car safely, pull it up on Spotify, pull it up on Amazon, pull it up on iHeartRadio. Hell, I don't care. Just make sure you're subbed on YouTube. That's the most important thing. I'm not going to jump through the screen. I'm not going to ask you for anything else. Just sub, man. You know, that's all I need from you guys. It's all I'm ever going to ask for you guys. So that's that. I'm going to head out. I'm going to go drill some jiu-jitsu. And we will not have a show tomorrow. No show tomorrow. I'll be traveling to New Orleans. So we will see you guys bare minimum on Monday. No show tomorrow. I'll be flying to New Orleans. Should have previewed the games for this week, too. God damn it. Should have previewed the games. I don't know why that file cuts short every time I play it. Should have previewed the games. That's all right. We got Bengals Bills. Let's go. Let's go. That's the biggest game of the week, guys. That's going to be the best game of the week. I'm telling you right now, you're going to want to tune into the Bengals Bills game in the early slate. It's going to be absolute cinema. Okay, I'm going to head out, guys. I love you. Appreciate you.